Welcome to the Emerging Lawyer series at the Coffee Conversation Show, powered by the Emerging India Forum TIF and a tech partner, Prime Infotech Solution. Theme is Merging Law with Business. We have with us Abir Roy, co-founder at Sarvada Legal. With a sharp legal mind and years of experience in competition law, dispute resolution, and corporate litigation, Abir has played a key role in shaping legal precedents in India. Recognized by Legal 500 and Chambers and Partners, he has been at the forefront of landmark cases in the digital markets technology, e-commerce sectors, from handling high-stakes antitrust cases to mentoring future lawyers as a competition law. He also is a lecturer. So Abir brings a unique mix of expertise, passion, and strategic thinking to the legal field. So it will be a lovely conversation today, Abir. So welcome to today's coffee conversation on a Saturday post afternoon.
Thank you so much, Amit. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. And thank you for the great introduction.
Okay. So coffee conversation is all about memory makers, change makers, and bringing smile for lifetime. This is three hashtags which we created recently. Okay. Let me explain you the flow and the format, Abir. There are three rounds: professional journey, personal journey, and a surprise rapid fire fun round, for which you have to be witty, fun, and quick. And you are getting this book, Legal AI, which is the a trending topic. I'll autograph and send it to you. You'll be the first recipient of this book.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I love to read the book.
Okay. So, friends, I'm Lion Amir Rani, host at Coffee Conversation, legal tech evangelist at Prime Infotech Solution, and author of 20 books. We help law firms, corporate legal, startups, and SMEs with world-class technology, software licensing, and tech training solutions. So, my first question, Abir, uh, how has the journey shaped, and what are the key defining moments in your career till date?
So I started my legal journey in 2007. So I'm a graduate from National Law University, Jodhpur. I graduated in 2007. From 2007 to 12, I was mostly doing M&A in a couple of firms, one based in Bombay, that is Mission Desai. Then I came to Pathak and Associates in Delhi, and then I went to Amacham. So from 2010, 10, 11 onwards, I started doing mostly competition law, both in the litigation space as well as merger control space. So there are two parts of competition law. One is obviously litigation, as you would know. One is obviously the other part is deal making and getting approval from the CCF for high value deals. So that's the two parts of the competition law practice. So I would say the defining moment firstly would be shifting from a proper corporate M&A domain where I used to assist at that point of time my seniors in the profession with all the deals that we're going through from transitioning from an M&A domain, pure M&A domain, to a competition law domain where I do a lot of litigation. I think life has been a full circle where I've seen both I would say drama over the negotiations table as well as courtroom drama. So yeah, I've seen both ends of the spectrum. So I would say the pivotal shift happened for me personally was one shifting from M&A to competition law, and also in 2019 when, uh, along with a couple of my friends, I started my own law firm in 2019. So now it has been 6 years. So it has been quite an eventful journey. So from a moment perspective, I would say two moments. One when I decided to move away from M&A to competition law, and then when I started my own law firm.
Interesting journey. So, Abir, let's dive deep into the conversation. Many companies struggle with compliance in competition law. What's one common mistake that could land them in legal trouble, according to you?
So one is, let me divide it into two parts, this particular question. One is when companies, obviously, when you look at MNCs, big conglomerates, big companies, they have those agreements with their channel partners, distributors, suppliers, etc. The case may be. If there are certain clauses which are there, like exclusivity, for example, or resale price maintenance, for example, that may be problematic from a competition law perspective. That is one part where companies may have to review their existing, I would say, agreements. Second is when you are doing any acquisition, for example, when you're doing a deal, then there have been recent changes in the competition law space. So you need to be aware, and not only competition, I would say that broadly there are a lot of changes which are happening, both on the, especially on the tech side, whether it be antitrust, data protection, etc. The case may be. So one has to be aware of that. And secondly, coming back when you do a deal, for example, since there have been some recent changes in the competition law space, one needs to take into account whether the deal that you are doing requires an approval from the Competition Commission of India. Because if, for example, you do a deal which otherwise would have required a approval from the regulator and you have not taken it, then there are consequences under the Competition Act for gun jumping. So purely from that perspective, one needs to be careful. So I would say I would divide it into two parts. But companies' day-to-day operations, you need to be aware of your agreements and your policies, whether they are in compliance with the latest positions of law, not only textual but also interpretation wise, taken by the regulator or the appellate court or the Supreme Court, as the case may be. And obviously, when you do a deal, you need to do a checklist whether the deal that you're doing requires an approval from the regulator. That is the Competition Commission of India, the practice that I'm doing.
Wow. So my next question, Abir, you have worked on competition law cases across multiple industries, tech, e-commerce, energy. Which sector do you think presents the toughest legal challenge?
So it's an interesting question because see what generally happens is I think every industry throws up its own surprises. Because obviously being a part of law practice which is heavily intertwined with market dynamics, every market is different. So for example, I would say energy or natural gas, for example, is highly regulated, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its own set of challenges from an antitrust perspective. So that has its unique set. Obviously, when you talk about tech, e-commerce, big tech, etc., as the case may be, I think for the last, I would say 2 to 3 years, I think whenever you open up a newspaper, every week or every month, there's some of the other news of either of the commission initiating some investigation, or there's an investigation worldwide on some of the practices which are done by big tech, for example. So that also has a unique set of challenges. So I think every company or every sector rather has a unique set of challenges which are there. But I would say I would say I won't use the word complex because like I said, everything is complex. But I think the investigation in tech law or e-commerce is very time sensitive also. And obviously the stakes involved there across the ecosystem is quite on the higher side. So that I think from not only a legal perspective, but also I would say, the impact perspective is quite high.
So, Abhi, what's one recent development in competition law that businesses should be paying close attention to?
So, like I mentioned initially, there is a recent changes in the merger control regime in India, wherein just for your listeners, the merger control regime when I'm speaking about is there are certain kind of deals, acquisitions, mergers, which are there, which if you cross a particular threshold from a financial threshold perspective, you require an approval from the CCI. So that's a merger control regime, if I may say so. So there have been some recent changes which have happened there, wherein earlier the threshold analysis was limited to, I would say, the financial threshold, which is asset and turnover of the company. Now there is a recent change which has come in for deal value. If you are spending some money which is more than a particular threshold which is given under the act, and also the target has some business operations in India, then that would also require an approval from the CCI. Now, one is obviously the textual interpretation which is there, But if you look at the text also, and this is a very recent development, so there's not much clarity which has been given by the CCI as yet in terms of decisions. So you have to look into multiple levels of deals which may have happened in the past, or the company wants to do it in the future. How are your transaction documents specifying your future business activities? All may have to be factored in while you are determining the deal value threshold. So I guess that is, I would say, one of the key changes, specifically in an environment where we are seeing more M&As across all sectors, and there's a strong market sentiment that it may happen in the near future also. So we need to be very abreast of the merger control developments and whether your deal requires a CC approval or not. So there's a revamped merger control regime, which I think the general counsels of companies and also the practitioners must be aware of. So that is also one of the one key development which is there.
Wow. So, Abir, how do you see India's competition law evolving in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, I also see to understand what the next 5 years will hold. Let us look at the last 10 or 15 years as the competition law has evolved. I think that will show what the next 5 years will hold for the regime in India. So the regime actually started sometime in 2009. So it has been what 16 years into the competition law enforcement. We had in the initial round a lot of, I would say, uh, investigations into traditional practices or traditional markets like cement, steel, for example, and the practices which were seen where bid rigging, government procurement, which was there. Obviously, there are certain issues on abuse of dominance also in certain sectors which are there. Then came a then came a time since 2020, for example, where there was a lot of investigations which are there, which have happened into e-commerce, big data, I would say new age markets or tech markets, as the case may be. And I think that I would say that flavor will continue for the next 5 years.
Mm.
Obviously, antitrust, as I think everybody will know, you are reading in the newspapers. It is obviously a legal issue which is there, but it's equally, I would say, a political issue which has come in because obviously you have announcements which have been made by the US that protecting their big tech which is there. So it may have an impact on the antitrust enforcement on especially Quad, big tech, and other markets. But I would say let's see how the regime unfolds. But I think for the next 5 years, you'll have a lot of activities in new age markets. So how the practices are, at least there'll be certain investigation, some market studies which will be done. CCI is already doing a market study on say artificial intelligence. So as and when the report of that comes out, that will give a lot of clarity. Then the entire issue of interplay between data and competition law. So those are the kind of issues which I think as a regulator, the CCI will obviously grapple with on the enforcement side. As far as merger control or deal approvals are concerned, there will obviously be a lot of, I would say, deals which have come in again in the new age markets. So it will be interesting to see how CCI looks at market positions, how it looks at the entry barriers, etc., as the case may be. So yeah, in the next 5 years, you will see a mix of both traditional and new age, but there will be a lot of new age investigation from new age matters which are there, which will throw a light on how the regulator perceives all these new age markets and the what I would say good practices in those markets are concerned.
Wow. So, Abir, you led me to the next question on antitrust. You have represented clients in some high profile antitrust cases. What's your approach to handling intense legal battles with big stakes?
Yeah, so my approach has is I would say consistent across. I would like to believe that my approach is consistent, and I make the point also that is consistent across all the matters which I'm doing. So as a team, we spend a lot of time in obviously understanding the matter, understanding the sector, preparing arguments as the case may be, and presenting it before the commission. That is, I'm talking about strictly from a litigation perspective, not from a approval from a particular transaction which I was talking about. So that approach is slightly more different because there you have to discuss with the regulators. But coming back to litigation, I would say whenever we are doing any matters, whether it's big stake or whatever it is, we try to understand the matter and we try to present all the arguments which are there before the courts. Obviously, if it's a big stake matter, that would typically mean that it's heavily contested from all the sides, whether from the other side or where if you're in appeal against a CCA order, then CCA is also an opposite party or the defendant, as the case may be. Or if we are supporting, if suppose we have won before the CCI, then the opposite side must be going an appeal where we have to support the CCA order. Be as it may, our approach has been very, very, I would say, specific in the sense we try to understand the matter. I personally try to get involved in every aspect of the matter from uh, end-to-end spectrum kind of a thing, and basically present it in the most concise manner. So whether I've always believed that you need to keep it short and simple. Whether bigger the stakes, the more it is, I think, relevant that you make the entire issue very, very simple to understand. Because
Wow.
one of the often mistakes that I think we do is that we try to make the matter complicated, but we have to understand that if you're arguing before a judge, he or she may have 100 matters in a particular day. It may be your only matter, but for the judge, it's one of the many matters that judge is looking at that from a particular day. So you have to make it very, very short, precise, and crisp. So that has been my approach.
Wow. So, Abir, being recognized by Legal 500 and Chambers and Partners, how does this recognition help you in your career?
The recognition is obviously, I would say, obviously it's a huge, I would say, a blessing and b a huge support that my clients and my peers think that our practice should be ranked in both leading directories as one of the experts in competition law, expert practice. But equally, I think it's a testament to the work that my team has put in. I think I'm grateful to my team because for a young firm like ours, we have had um, people right from the inception. So I think the entire credit is equal because of their contribution. One person cannot make a difference, so it's always a team effort. So I think it's a huge. I think it's very humbling to receive such recognitions, not once but across multiple years, across multiple directories or publications, which is very, very humbling. And obviously, so it also helps in one. It is obviously a matter of recognition, which obviously helps, and also the clients also get a comfort because these are very, very prominent leading publications which have a lot of repute. So if such reputed journals rate you, that's also a thumbs up to the work that you're doing over a period of time. It's not that these journals will rank you for work done in a particular matter or for a particular year. It's obviously over a period of time they analyze, they obviously have a very systematic way of ranking which is there. They speak to your clients, they speak to your peers. So and obviously they make their own independent survey. So I think it's a testament to the work that we have put in, but I think more important is very humbling to say the least.
Wow. So, let's go to your law firm. What's the story behind naming of Sarvada Legal? What's the meaning? And how has the journey been?
So it's an interesting story. So Sarvada, as you would know in Hindi, means always. We are always for our clients, always for our friends, always for the legal fraternity which is there. But so there are two ways of looking at it. One is obviously what we mentioned. So that is one of the ethos which is there. And then when we started the seven partners who were there, their first names is, so I am like, for example, Abir, so it's A. So we have three A's in the team, one S, one R, one B. So we that's how the name Sarvada, one D. So we took the first names of every partner which is there, and then we put it across, and this is what came across as Sarvada. So Sarvada obviously, so that is obviously one story where we wanted to recognize the partners who have come in, and also the fact that Sarvada obviously it's a nice ring, so
Yeah.
nice impact of the name also, uh, that we are always there for our clients, always there for our team. So yeah, so that's the story. So it was a very, we were jostling what we should be the name be, etc. And then somehow during the discussions we put all the names together and this came out, this popped out. So yes, we have been Sarvada since 2019 now.
Wow. So, Abir, who has influenced you from the competition law and what are the key learnings you got?
Influenced in the sense of I've been fortunate enough to work with great mentors in competition law. So like I said, I was an Amachan at one point of time. I worked with Nisha, who is one of the leading practitioners. Then I started my career with Nishit Desai, although I was doing M&A at that point of time. But Mr. Nishit Desai's approach towards every problem is uh, extremely, extremely novel. So that also helped me, and he gave me a lot of encouragement. Being a proprietor of such a big firm, yet he had time for all the juniors. That's a testament to the approach that he has taken. So I have great memories of that place, and also the other seniors that I had the fortunate, I was fortunate enough to be a part of a great team in Nishant Desai, so that helped. Then obviously I spoke about Nisha. Nisha has been extremely helpful and uh, a guiding factor. And then when we came to Lakshay Kumaran, Mr. Lakshay Kumaran also like Mr. Desai used to give a lot of I would say freedom to develop my own practice, which is there. And he actually was instrumental in giving me an opportunity to lead a practice, although I was young at the profession at that point of time. So that is something that I've learned from him. And also how to basically interact with the client, because slowly and steadily I became senior in the profession. So there was a one part of the profession obviously demands a lot of work. Then client management, how to say develop business, for example. So he gave me a lot of leeway, which is there. And also the team that we have put together at Sarvada, so we are all friends. Four of us are friends from college. Our managing partner is Mr. Sitaraman, whom I think is one of the most knowledgeable and humble people you will ever meet. You learn so much from him. So he leads Sarvada and then we have joined. So I think we have had various, I would say, mentors over a period of time, all of whom have played a very pivotal part in guiding me or giving me some of the other advice, which I may have applied, may not have applied, but it has always kept me at the back of the mind. So that has always been very helpful.
Ah. So, Abir, what got you into teaching and being a legal educator, and how has the journey been?
What got me? I have a I do like to teach. I don't think there's no I would say specific response why I like teach. I just love teaching, which is that I think teaching also helps your professional advocacy also, because somewhere down the line what happens is when you are doing work or client work, obviously you become better as the case may be, but I think when you're teaching you are more abreast about laws or the latest development which is there. So teaching obviously helped me do that. Uh, so my teaching career incidentally started during COVID times, wherein there was another online portal which asked me whether I can take competition law courses. So I said yes. Then one thing led to another. Then I got a chance to meet Professor Davande from Symbiosis, Noida. He told me, why don't you come over the weekend and teach one of the semesters competition law? Because I think competition law still is, at least it was at that point of time in 2021. and I think still is an elective course which is there.
Mhm.
So I taught, I think, two batches, alternate years, I think 2021 and 2023. So that has been foray into teaching, and I do take on and off lectures in some of the other colleges. So it is just something that I really enjoy doing, and that's about it. So that's how I got into teaching. Nothing conscious, but like I said, teaching is something I really enjoy.
Wow. So, Abir, let's go memory down the lane. What has been the most interesting or challenging case you have worked, and how did you navigate it?
So I would say a couple of them pop in my mind. Sometimes, so competition, like let me put it this way too, so that your listeners understand the complexities which is there. So competition law, every case in competition law hinges on what we call as relevant market, because you
Mhm.
need to understand the market, and whether once you've defined the market, then you can make out whether the entity in question has market power or not. So I think the first case which popped into my mind was more of a deal that we were doing. It's a merger control matter wherein we had to take an approval. It was in the aviation sector. So typically, it was one of the foreign airlines acquiring a stake in an Indian airline. So how do you determine the market?
Mhm.
So after a lot of research on international similar cases, discussion with the economists, which is whom the parties had hired, we came to the conclusion that the relevant market would be origin and destination pair. So what do you mean by origin and destination pair is, so for example, today we are in Delhi. If I have to go to Delhi to Bombay, then Delhi to Bombay is an origin and destination pair. That is not substitutable with a Delhi Bangalore, for example. So that is an origin and destination pair. That being the market, we narrowed down that there are around 192 relevant markets. I distinctly remember the number 192 relevant markets. So we actually did a market study of 192 markets while drafting the form. So that was an interesting piece of work. And also the interest was that while we managed to get a CCI approval, there were certain paras in the CCI order which triggered some proceedings before the Securities Exchange Board of India. So that's how interestingly one regulated decision may trigger some other proceedings before some other law, and then how we assisted the securities team in defending that action also was indeed very was a learning experience, and also very interesting. So that's first thing which pops into my mind as one of the most interesting, challenging learning experience that I've had in competition law in the last decade. Second is, I would say, the recent matters that one of the matters that we are doing is representing all the app developers in India as well as abroad against the big tech for their app store policies. So that has been very interesting, not because again, one I'm looking at certain actions which have had a multiple dimensions apart from the Competition Commission of India. So there were certain issues before the Competition Commission of India. Then we had to go in a commercial suit before a high court. There are certain writ petitions before Delhi High Court, some action before the Madras High Court. So it was quite a exciting, complicated journey which has been, it's still continuing. So cannot divulge much about the case
Yeah,
apart
it's
from what
fine.
is already there in the public domain. But that has been quite enriching and challenging.
Yeah. Okay. So, Abir, how has the leadership style evolved over the years?
How has my leadership style evolved over the years? Uh, so see, when you start a practice in 2019, let me put it this way, I'll just limit it to when I started my firm in 2019 and now, and I limit it to that. See, when we started, we jumped into straight into work, whatever client work which was there. and we started hiring more and more, hiring people to do the work, etc. As the case may be. So we were very, as a say a practice head or a leader, as the case may be. I was more interested in the present, as to this is the work that is there, and this is what I have to do. Over a period of time, I've understood as a team also that you need to, while existing workflow is very important because that's what keeps you going. I think you need to look at the future. Like you said, what issues you see in 5 years from now. So that also as a practice, we should see what is the challenges that you will see 2, 3 years from now and take the team along. It's more of a team decision. Obviously, somewhere down the line, I will obviously presently have some amount of latitude in thinking what needs to be done, but I always try to take the team along, team feedback as the case may be, because if you have to build a team for the future, you have to have great people, great leaders in their own rights with uh, us to take the team forward. So it's a mid-level and the next level of senior partners or senior people as the case may be who are very important. So I think my leadership style, I would say, is to take people along uh, and be open to learning new things. So for example, um, like I said that I was more interested in doing the work, for example, or then we were doing some knowledge booklets, for example. Then one of my present colleagues says, I think it's better that we get it designed in a proper format and make it more reader friendly or make it more in terms of pictures as the case may be. I really like that idea. I think that has been given a huge fillip to our practice in terms of I've had people write to me that your booklets really look appealing, for example, and that has really helped. So it's the small things which matter a lot, and I think with the new generation, which is there, they actually are much more aware of what looks better, and also their interpretations are also much more nuanced than I think traditional practitioners have. So that also really helps. So I think learning from everybody and obviously putting that into practice and taking the team along. So that I'm trying to build it over a period of time.
Um, So, Abir, how has technology helped you, and which legal tech tool has impacted you?
So technology obviously, so it has helped in the sense, for example, where it has helped me the most is mostly client relations. So when I say client relationships, obviously you meet so many people and then you exchange cards, for example. Then when if you do not come back, put it into a system, then you will tend to forget it after a point of time. Because not everybody you meet will convert into a client today. In fact, they will if they convert into a client, it will take its own time, especially for a young startup firm like ours. So it's very essential that you basically maintain connect with them, keep in touch with them. So one is obviously it's good to say that you'll keep in touch with them over emails, but there has to be a tech solution to that, which can maintain that relation, maintain that contact. So we have used quite a few software for client relations. Then obviously there are new AI tools which are coming in for summary of decisions as the case may be. So we are still testing all these tech tools. Client relation management is something that we do invest quite a bit. The AI tools we are still testing because of the accuracy, etc. But client relations, so we use Zoho. So we had other software like Practice League before this, but now we have moved to Zoho as an entire platform as a firm. So that is the software that has really helped us. I see tangible improvements once we have employed the software over the last 6 months.
Uh, So, my last one, if you had to give one piece of advice to young lawyers looking to specialize in competition law, what would it be?
One piece of advice would be just to be focused. competition law, I think it's applies to every legal discipline. But competition law, I think, applies more. It's a very record heavy matter because we have market reports, market surveys, as the case may be. So you need to be aware, A, of uh, the legal interpretations. You need to be aware of the case. You need to be aware of the records and the market. And also, what generally happens, which has also helped me, is being a specialist obviously has its own advantages. I've been a competition lawyer for quite some time, but lately, from the last 2 years, I've been doing more and more non-competition matters also. So competition law, say in 2022, would constitute 100% of my practice. Now I would say 70% of my practice. I do quite a bit of dispute resolution and arguing before other courts on other issues. And that I think has helped my competition law practice also. Because it's a young law at the end of the day. So interpretations are more and more laws that you interpret and laws that you argue before courts. You'll get much more ideas how to interpret your competition law also. So I would say being a specialist has its own advantages, but I think you can be specialist in some, but in general in others. So have a general commercial understanding of other laws that will definitely help your competition law also.
Wow. Let's go to the next round and understand Abir as a person. Tell us about your family and your formative years.
So my parents live with me. So my parents hail from Calcutta. I hail from Calcutta. Um, so I was till I think class 7. My dad had a transferable job, so I was in Ranchi and Patna. Then I came to Calcutta. Although originally I'm from Calcutta, but because my dad had a transferable job, I started staying in Calcutta from class 7 to 12. Then obviously I went to law college in Jodhpur, as I mentioned initially, and then my career has taken me to Delhi and Bombay. Uh, I got married in 2013, so my wife is an author. Neha is an author, and I have a 6-year-old girl, Ariana, and a four-legged possum son who's a biscuit. So, incidentally, today is the third birthday of my dog. So that is it. So yeah, so we live in Gurgaon. Uh, so yeah, that's about my family and my
Wow.
formative years.
So, Abir, what's your go-to way to unwind after a long day at office?
So when I have a long day, it's not only the office but also beating the traffic because I stay in Gurgaon and my office is in Delhi. So that's a fair distance.
Yeah.
So after that, once I come back, the best way to unwind would be obviously play with my dog and my daughter, and after that, watch something or the other on TV. Because generally, if I will come back to either I will come back by 6 p.m. because I will leave office by 4, or I will come back at around 9 p.m. Because I generally try to avoid the traffic while both
Yeah.
on my way to going to office and coming back. So it depends on what time do I come back, but generally the way to unwind would be either watch a show or something or play with my daughter
Wow.
and my dog.
So, Abhi, you're known for tackling complex legal cases, but what's something completely unrelated to law that excites you?
Unrelated to law which excites me. So again, a couple of things. Again, it's something to do with business only. One is obviously to do with business. One is that so recently my my mother and my wife have opened up a gifting venture. Uh, so I'm trying to help them as to the extent possible. So that is obviously a very recent thing which excites me. Secondly, is that like I said, I'm a Bengali. So in Gurgaon we have an association of Bengalis called DLFCP Durga Puja and Bengali Cultural Society. So it's an association of about 500 families which have which do multiple events throughout the year. and I
Mhm.
just happened to be the president of that association, one of the young presidents. So that is obviously again very humbling, which is there and a nice experience. So so that also something that really excites me in terms of basically something apart from law, obviously, but something which is very close to my heart.
Wow. So, what's your favorite way to spend weekends?
Favorite way to spend weekends. Favorite way to spend weekends would be, see, once you're a parent, half your weekends are
Yeah.
taking your uh, daughter to a play area or play dates or something or the other, as the case may be. So that is obviously it's very very rewarding. Also, it's very very fun, which is
Yeah.
there. Otherwise, catch up with friends. Nothing specific. It's not that. Nothing specific. General catch up, general going around and having a time with your family or something like that. Mostly something which is more quiet.
Wow. So, what's one book, movie, web series that has had a profound impact on you?
One book, web series, movie which has had a profound impact on me. So people who know me, they know that I'm a huge, humongous fan of Saurav Ganguly, uh, a legendary Indian cricketer. So he actually wrote it's not an autobiography also, it's one of those motivational books called Century is Not Enough. So I must have read that book, I think, 10 to 15 times. And I often go back. So that obviously has been it's one of the books that has really helped me.
Wow. So, what's one fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Fun fact about me that most people don't know. No, I'm an open book. I think most people who know are close to me know about me, which is there. So I can't think of any fun fact which people don't know. I'm not
Okay.
that evading the question. I'm just not able to think of any
Recollect.
fun fact.
I know my question is a little googly and on as the conversation flows to make it more
Yeah, sure,
exciting.
sure.
Interesting.
I understand that, but I think you told me to be quick
Take your
and
time.
witty,
Take
but
your time. In the
I
rapid
can't
fire,
understand
cover
of
it
a
up.
fun fact. Let me think. If
Yeah,
I
yeah.
during the
Okay.
conversation,
Yeah.
if I remember something, I'll tell you.
So, what's one travel destination on your bucket list for 2025 that you want to do?
I really want to travel northeast. So
Wow.
that has been in my to-do list. I remember, I think 2024, no, way and five, right? Or 2024, I was looking typical surfing on the net or mobile or
Mhm.
something. And I saw excellent pictures of a place in Cherrapunji. So
Mhm.
that has been, so you, you know, if you see some places, you just want to go there. So Meghalaya Northeast is something I really want to go. I wish I can do it in June of this year. So let's see. So that is definitely in my bucket list.
Wow. So, who has been your biggest cheerleader from your family, friends?
I think everyone. I think my parents, my wife, my friends, close friends who are there. I think everybody has been excellent source of support and strength for me personally. Obviously, we all have a long way to go. We tend to support each other, like every family and friends do. So it will be remiss if I pick out somebody. I think everybody has been, my parents, my wife, my in-laws, everybody has been a huge support to me.
Wow.
Yes.
So, my last one will be a googly. Describe Abir in one line.
Beer in one line. Who gave it, who not gave it, it still gives, I think, gave it is a past tense. Who gives it all for whether it be a client, be a friend, be family, who gives it all.
Wow. So, let's have some fun. The rapid fire round. Favorite food after a long day at work?
Fish curry and rice.
Wow.
And
Your
mom
favorite
made sweet
color?
corn. My favorite color would be blue.
Wow. Uh, Best piece of advice received?
Best piece of advice received was I was doing this one matter wherein I'll not get into the details of the case, but I was representing against big tech, and one of the senior counsels asked me, uh, "Abir, are you briefing any senior advocate?" And I was not. We hadn't decided by then, and he said he was encouraging me only to argue the matter before the court. And he said, and I still remember, and I often tell it to everybody whom I said. He said a David versus Goliath fight should look like a David versus Goliath fight. So he said, obviously, from the big tech perspective, you will have counsels who are of a great repute, which is there, which is the Goliath. If you want to be the David, you only argue. Hence, a David versus Goliath fight should look like a David versus Goliath fight. I think that has been one of the iconic pieces of advices I have received, and I repeat it like a broken record every time it comes up.
Beautiful. Morning cases or late night strategy sessions?
Morning cases,
Teaching or practicing law?
practice and law.
Okay. Your favorite Bengali dessert?
Rasgulla,
Tea or coffee?
tea.
Okay, but let's toast.
I'm sorry,
That's fine. Your choice. It's all right whether you had coffee or where. It's your choice. That's my question.
Yeah.
So you did well. And here's your book, Legal AI 101, Understanding and Implementing AI in Your Practice.
Thank you
So
so much.
friends, it was a lovely conversation. And this is a niche area where I just asked him in my first question only, what was the defining moment? And he said, bhai, he had practiced other areas of law and then he picked up competition law. So this young legal professionals who want to enter this area of niche law, competition law. Watch this episode. Abir has taken us through the journey of what competition law is all about and how to handle big stake cases, antitrust, so many things. What do you say? Merger control regime, deals approval, so many things. So, like that, each of our coffee speakers in this 400 plus we have crossed over now, they've shared their subject expertise, their personal interest, their professional journey, how they've gone. Watch, subscribe to the channel, and you would definitely implement in your life. And these are what speakers are, the change makers, memory makers, and we try to bring smile for lifetime. And if you want to be featured like Abir, visit our company LinkedIn page, the Emerging India Forum, or the website. Fill in the form. Our team will invite you to have coffee conversation. You can have your tea also, but enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.